All right, well, we're here for our one issue that I've been looking forward to the whole time. This is the very first issue of Nintendo Power that my family and I owned. So, Knights of the Black Lodge is bringing it to you. This is Gray Fox 37.
Ninja Bay 76.
So, yep, it's the Ninja Gaiden issue of Nintendo Power. Now, of course, the dude basically dressed up as Ryu there, I just had to get a laugh at, but I do love the background basically showing the Amazon's altar, basically, or temple. So I think that's pretty cool there. And there you could see Death Bridge and the wonderful climb you get to do up to it and yada, yada, yada. Then we're going to finish up with Zelda 2 strategy guide and whatnot. This is also an issue, I believe, that has the Nintendo Power Pad, basically. So we're going to see a bunch of kids, like I was mentioning in a few issues ago, we're going to be seeing a bunch of kids who are basically dressed up in blue and red sweaters, and they're going to basically do the Track and Field 2 tournament and everything like that. So let's crack it open. There's one of my favorite ads there, so we got that kid riding the surf again on that digital background.
Because yes, we wore stupid shit like that in the 80s.
So we got, finishing up the Zelda 2 Adventure of Link. Got a CES report from the Big Vegas show, Ninja Gaiden, Hudson's Adventure Island, which is a great game, Strider, which is like probably one of the quickest speed runs you'll ever find on Games Done Quick. Cobra Triangle, Bayou Billy, which is pretty much a Crocodile Dundee ripoff.
Betrayal!
Then we see the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, which is, let's just say this, it's unfair at a lot of points. It's not bad of a game, but it's really not that good. Like, the Ninja Turtle fever would start when the arcade version would hit the Nintendo. It would be based off the arcade version, but then they added a few extra stuff into it, so...
Remember, kids, only use Donatello.
Yep. Then you got used especially against the bosses, right? Yeah. You got the Counselor's Corner, of course, another Howard and Nestor comic, classified info, the Power Pad Party. So that's what we're talking about there. So you're going to be seeing those awesome late '80s, early '90s kids hairstyles and whatnot. First Nintendo Power Rewards, so we're going to get down to that. Then we're going to look at some upcoming packs for the next issue in the futures. Then you got your top 30 again, Mailbox, NES Journal, Spotlight, Achievers, all that good stuff. I think this is the first issue where they started doing a rating system as well, but that might come along later. But we'll find out as things unfold. So, you can pause it here if you just want to read the mailbox and stuff. I do love this little claymation set of Mouser with Mario. I think that was really creative, so I really, really like that there. So big shout-outs to that there. And I love the little article, fun for all ages. Yeah, when Dr. Mario came out, we got it for Christmas. My folks played Dr. Mario and neglected, for a whole week. And basically, my brother and I lived off of Fruit Loops for dinner. Dad would come home from the Defense Depot in Memphis. Mom was a homemaker at the time before she got her bachelor's and master's and got into teaching and everything. And, it's just like, all right, honey, I'm home. Dr. Mario.
And for me and my sister, it was Arkanoid and Tetris to see who could get the higher score.
Very cool. Very cool.
Dun, 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 dun.
My brother and I were playing the hell out of Mario and stuff like that, and then we played the hell out of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 arcade game. We just kick button that over and over and over. I remember when we had to rent a new TV for a bit because our other one had shorted out back in the time of cathode ray tube TVs. I remember it shorted out, so we rented a Magnavox TV for a week, and then we actually had it on the side while my folks had their new main TV. So my brother and I, we would come out there and rotate and take turns with friends that would come over and just play Nintendo like fucking crazy. It was great.
Oh yeah, those old days of going round robin on a one-player game. Good times.
Well, no, it was a two-player game, so we'd go, but we'd have my brother and I would have friends over, so we'd rotate between them and stuff like that. It was really cool. So here we go. Here's the continuation of Zelda 2, where you're getting more of the parts of Hyrule and stuff. So they kind of do a recap. Oh, there's my mouse is moving now. There we go. I was like, is it out of juice? But no, we're cool. So they do a recap of where a lot of things are in the first area of Northern Hyrule there, and kind of do a reboot here. Yeah, Bagu. There we go. This is the very first. This upcoming Nestor comic is one of my favorites coming up, so I can't wait to get to that. But I'll kind of break down what's going on with excuse me, with Link there. So, let's see where he's going to take things beyond. Yeah. So now we're getting to the fifth palace. They're showing more of the awesome artwork. This is the palace that has the hidden entrance, basically, to get you through to the rest of the level and whatnot. And again, just awesome artwork, and loving the how to beat the bosses, Guma. And then they're talking about how the wizards here they shoot fire rather than beams that you can reflect, like in Palace 4 on Maze Island. Then the sixth palace, you've got Barba, but people have now started to call him Fulvagia, so there you go there. This is a palace that has no keys in it, so you have to get to the new Kasuto village, use that the spell at the end of it to get the magic key that's in that temple there. So that's basically what's going to happen with that there. Then the 9 steps to the Great Palace. This is just a hell on earth, basically.
Yep.
Getting through Death Valley there, basically. There's they've got enemies that are coming at you. So enemies are going to be coming at you on this. It's not like this kind of ground here. There's spots that lead you into action zones here, and then eventually you finally get to it, which is nestled in the mountain. And that place is shaped like a skull, by the way, ironically enough, much like level 9 in the original Zelda. So they wrapped things up nicely there, I felt. So it was really cool, and I was like, darn, I want to get the issue before this, because they started off with Zelda 2 on it.
I just like to think that maybe Dr. Wily was a big Ganon fanboy back in the day. This will make him notice me.
Right. The Mega Man 1 didn't really garnish all the popularity. It was fun, but it didn't garnish Mega Man didn't really start garnishing popularity until 2 came out, which is basically a huge fan favorite. I prefer 3, but 2 is definitely a huge fan favorite. Now the irony about 2 is that a lot of the levels, the backgrounds are really simplistic in it, but then when you play 1, you notice that the backgrounds are a little more detailed at some parts, and it's just so fascinating to kind of see that transition. But a lot of the missions a lot of the robot worlds that Mega Man goes into are more so indoors and whatnot, so they're kind of grainy and everything, whereas you had more of the traditional outdoors going on in the first one there.
Ironically, my actual first foray to Mega Man was actually Part 8 on the PS1.
Ooh.
Mega Man, we must stop Dr. Wily from getting the energy sources.
My condolences.
And I actually do have that on the PS2 in my Mega Man Anniversary Collection, which I brought with me because I'm a masochist for pain and bad voice acting.
Yeah, definitely my condolences. Yeah. So later on, they're going to talk about how to, some tips and tricks for the latter part of Zelda 2. So we'll get to that. So, Winter Consumer Electronics Show. This is something that basically would show up a lot in Vegas at the old convention center. It doesn't look like this anymore. Hold on a second. Sorry, my mouse just sometimes goes idle. It doesn't look like this anymore. The Vegas Convention Center basically is around where the Venetian is now, and it's a lot wider and really, really, more up to date and modern looking. But this is what it basically looked like back in the late '80s. So Nestor traveled to Las Vegas for his first CES. Over 100,000 people attended the show, looking for the latest on what's new in TVs, VCRs, stereos, the best of all video games. Oh man. Good old VCR days.
I know. Back in the day when your parents had to ask their kids how to program the VCR.
Right. Yeah. Well, fortunate enough for us, we had our dad was really, really tech savvy. I mean, he knows Office way better than I do. I give him that. I'm more into the hardware and networking aspects, whereas my dad. Oh, excuse me. I'm so congested today. Yeesh. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm really congested today. But it was also with the I really loved how he was more software oriented a lot, so he would know how to operate Word and Excel and PowerPoint a hell of a lot better than I ever could. But I don't really practically use those as often anyway. But the Nintendo booth showcased Nintendo's own games, as well as played host to 35 licenses on their titles. We knew we wouldn't have the problem finding the booth. It was the biggest one of the show. Oh man, when Nintendo was super king, gotta love it. And I mean, honestly, out of all the modern consoles today, I like the Switch a lot. I'm a PC gamer, so I'm part of the master race and everything. But ultimately, if with the consoles, I love the Switch because the Switch just basically has what I grew up with in terms of like Metroid, Mario, things like that. The Xbox and the PS4, you can get like a lot of classic games on it through like the PlayStation or Xbox store and whatnot. But I just love the Switch because of the mobility with it there, so I can play my games on the go and then dock it and everything like that. And I mean, we got like Night Slashers on it, and we got like the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle and things. And I'm sure you could probably get stuff like that on the others. But it's just good to have it to where I can even play it on the go.
Oh, you can, but in the case of the Xbox One, that Capcom Fighting Bundle, count on that being 3 separate downloads.
Oh man.
Yeah, you want your Darkstalkers? Separate. You want your Final Fight and Magic Sword? Separate bundle. You want everything else? Separate bundle. Give me money, bitch.
So here's a map, like if you want to pause this and read all this, here's a map of basically their progression and everything. So, Bandai was showing off their controllers and stuff. So, Bandai, of course, supported or sponsored Dragon Ball Z, so that supported them. Capcom, of course, enough said there. So they're showing off Mega Man 2, which was pretty cool. Sunsoft was showing off, like, some stuff in regards to Terminator, but unfortunately, you wouldn't really get the Terminator game you were looking for until the Sega CD would come into existence. And even then, it still had some problems there. And then Victokai, you go along there with that. Activision, of course, eventually, they made the Three Stooges game. Not many people know that. But ultimately, we know what Activision would put Activision on the map, Call of Duty. And then you got LGN, which is basically the biggest flop in gaming history.
Actually, you said it wrong. It's Call of Repetition.
Call of Repetition. Again, when it comes to Call of Duty, I mean, shooters, if you overall... let's go off on a tangent. Shooters, if you overall think about it, you're doing essentially the same thing over and over. The nice thing about it, though, is when you can put in, like that's why I love, like, Call of Duty. When you put in, like, the Tom Clancy-ish stories where you see the NPC interaction, when you put in, like, the weapons, because I love, I'm a gun nut and everything. I mean, they're not accurate on how they fire, but, I mean, whatever. I just like the look of them and then the SOP mods and everything like that. But if you think about it, like, every shooter, basically, it has, like, ultimately is the same thing. But you could say that about every game, practically. It's what basically keeps in mind, like, certain innovations that you can do, or what keeps in mind is that how it enthralls you into the game that can keep you there. So even if, like, Modern Warfare is repetitive, if it's still a sense to where I'm going through, like, levels that look different, and it looks, and if ever it doesn't look like the last level I shot up, or if there's an objective that plays at your emotion or something of that nature, that's what drags you into games. Games are always going to be repetitive, but are you having fun? Is the true factor.
The sad thing is, I actually like Call of Duty because I love the story and the characters, especially like Modern Warfare and Black Ops 2. But I loved Borderlands 1, even though most people hated it. I thought it was actually pretty good. Borderlands 2 was great, and then 3 was like, you're killing me here, Pitchford. Stop.
Right,
Just
and
stop.
Even like the Modern Warfare game, the new one that they released and whatnot, it's like, it looks great, but it's just so cookie cutter on a lot of things there in terms of like how they portray the characters and everything. Because you sit there and you're sitting there and you can tell that they're trying to basically you can kind of sit there and just tell that they're trying to push like certain narratives there, but they don't do it enough to make it a bad game, which is good. So it's not like you're going through Division 2 and you're just like, why are all the white people injured? Oh, I see now. So, yeah. And you kind of go around here, Milton Bradley was in it. Ultra was one of the biggest Nintendo. Ultra and Konami, they were two huge game designers there. Ultra made a really cool adventure game called Nightshade, so, I really enjoyed that. And then, of course, Konami, we know them as well for Castlevania and Contra. Acclaim, of course, would get into sports stuff, and then also, of course, Mortal Kombat. And then SNK.
Hey.
Yeah, there you go. There's Ardeth's bread and butter right there.
Hey, fun fact, kids. You ever wonder where the Brazil team in '94 from KOF came from? came from Ikari Warriors. Ralph Clark, Joan Steele, 8-bit shooter. And the leader of that team, Hydern, was actually the villain in that game.
That's true. Also, SNK, aside from Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting series and, King of Fighters, SNK is actually also responsible for one of my most favorite RPGs of all time, Chrysalis.
Ooh.
Which will be coming in a few short issues. So, and it stays in the top 10 for a long time, which is great.
I'm going to have to show you Aerial Fighters, because it's basically Top Gun Animu Edition.
So now we got some upcoming things to look at, like the Notorious Fester's Quest, which has a great soundtrack, but unfortunately is a really lame game. Then you see the preview for Mega Man 2, which is very exciting. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? We were talking earlier about movies that we saw in theaters. That was another one that I got to see in theaters, too.
Oh, yeah, I saw that with my grandma.
Yeah, we were talking about movies that we saw in theaters in the 80s. Ardeth had the privilege of seeing Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but I was still a baby at the time. And then we were talking about how we saw Ghostbusters 2, Star Trek 5 and 6, Last Crusade, Back to the Future 2 and 3, stuff like that. So it was good to do that there.
And depending on how you look at it, I was actually lucky enough to get to see the original Star Wars in theaters, kind of, because Mom was 8 months pregnant. My dad dragged her to theaters.
Doesn't count. Anyway,
the Force was with me. My midichlorians could feel it.
I was in Canada when I was an infant, when my mom and dad were traveling on the St. Lawrence Seaway. I mean, I've been to Canada before in other places. I've been to Calgary, so that's like the one place in Canada I've been to there. So the Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I mean, it looks great. I love that. I love that here. Looks great, but then when you play it, it's just like, oh boy. Then, of course, you got LGN, exciting news. We're going to get Back to the Future, Beetlejuice, Pictionary, and Punisher. The only good LGN game was Spider-Man vs. Maximum Carnage on the Super Nintendo. That actually was a really good beat-em-up. You could play as Spider-Man and Venom, which was fucking awesome, and then a lot of Marvel superheroes would help Spider-Man out as a special move. It was pretty cool.
That was pretty much their last hurrah.
Yeah.
And their only one.
Exactly. Now here comes another thing we've been looking for. The Power Glove. It's so bad. The actor who plays Lucas is a sex offender.
Wow.
You didn't know that?
Well, now he's so bad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess he kind of carried the case around and lubed it up when he decided to diddle balls, or young balls, there we go. But in the Mega Man 3 issue, I'm really looking forward to the dude that has like the really long curly hair, the curly rat tail hair. That's basically going to be, and he's going to wear the old '90s vest, that's popular. You wear the vest and then the striped shirt and everything. I really can't wait to see him talk about, I beat Contra with the Power Glove in 15 minutes. I can't wait to see that agent profile. I'm so looking forward to that.
Nintendo Power.
Yeah. So here we go. So basically, you can win a trip to the summer CES in Chicago. So it's pretty cool that they got that going on there. And there's Howard and Nestor right there, basically. Who knows what we'll see in Chicago? Maybe Super Mario 3. So then that basically, every kid had an orgasm pretty much right there.
Oh, yeah.
I love this. Move over, Michael Jackson. This glove will make you a video superstar. Oh, man. Yeah, Michael Jackson was still super popular at the time. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Ninja Gaiden. Hi!
Hey, Billy, you want me to touch you with my Power Glove?
So, here we are. That's such just really good artwork there. I love that artwork of Jakuyo and basically Ken fighting Basakura and whatnot. So, this is one of the greatest platformers ever made on the Nintendo, hands down. I mean, it's such a difficult game, but it was so innovative for the time. The way that you could progress through the level, the ninja arts, the enemies, the plot was amazing. I love the cinematic scenes that they had before that. It was, Tecmo, this and Tecmo Super Bowl were like the launching pad for Tecmo games right here. Unbelievable games.
And before the Sega Genesis came out with its near arcade perfect port of Golden Axe, this was pretty much the best arcade port of any video game in existence.
Well, absolutely, because Ninja Gaiden was originally an arcade beat 'em up. The transition they made it to making it a platformer just completely worked. And I prefer the platformer more than the beat 'em up, to be honest. If you're going to go for like a good 80s beat 'em up, yeah, you'll definitely want to do Double Dragon or Golden Axe. But with this one, you absolutely, or even in the late 80s, Final Fight came out at that time. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden was just an amazing transition there. So I love how they're showing like what you can do. Like you can do your wall climb, wall spring jumps. So in the first one, like in the second and third one, you could actually climb up any wall basically. In the first one, you would stick to it and then you would basically flip kick off of it, and that's how you'd basically go between like one wall to another. Some people mastered, of course, rapidly being able to like flip kick up a vertical wall without like the support and needing the support of another wall on the other side. But the only way that you would transition between the areas is there would be a ladder where you could straight up crawl up it. 2 and 3 gave you more freedom, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Plus the ninja arts that you can do here and everything, like the invincible fire wheel, the art of the fire wheel where you launch it up and everything. I mean, this was the beginning. I was sad that they got rid of the jump and slash where it turns you into like a whirlwind attack there. I'm sad they got rid of that in the next games, but that was one of my favorite moves. That was a deadly move to use against bosses too. So basically what I love about this is they've got names for like every area. So like Act 1, they call it Galesburg. So this is one of my favorite stage musics too. I love it. The Ninja Dragon song, it's really good. So they kind of, if you want to pause it here, they basically tell out the story here. So you get to pretty much figure out what's going on, you know, why Ryu's going on his quest and everything like that. So then when you get to the end of it, you know, you go against the barbarian. He's got this big butcher axe. He's a very easy boss. The first 2 bosses are just arcade walks practically. So, you know, you go into Jay's bar, and it's just like, well, here's this dude with a butcher knife. It's like, they call him like the alias the South American Executioner. You know, he's from the dark reaches of the Amazon, and he's part of the Malice 4, so yeah, there you go.
And yet he's dressed up like an armadillo.
Right?
Geography much?
So then the second one, like when you're escaping, you're in the outpost. So this is after you meet Irene, and she basically gives you the shadow statue, and then you have to go through this. This has a pretty good stage music. Then you get to Death Valley. This is the best stage music coming up here. That one's really good there. Well, not best stage music, but it's a really good song there. So you see like the story of Act 2. So this will basically break down the cinematic here. I love how they would do this. Give you the maps, you know, break down the plot for you on the side. Just really awesome touch there. So then you get to the bomber head, who's basically swinging around a sickle. Then, you know, more awesome artwork. Then you get like, this has the really cool thing. The Crystal Lake has that really awesome. I love that song too. So basically, it'll show, you know, you'll learn the legend of the statues, the ninja sword, and then the guy who basically, or no, it wasn't Basakura that fought him. It was Malth that fought Ken. But anyway, we'll get to that. Yeah, Crystal Lake had some tricky jumps on it, but it's a pretty short stage. Then you get to Lizard Mountains, which is relatively tough, I'll just say that, especially when you get around this area. It gets kind of tough. You have like consistent enemies basically bombarding upon you over and over, so it's very difficult to get there. Now this guy is tough. Like, he's a fairly tough boss, but he has a pattern too, so he's fast and he'll jump side to side. He'll fire some bullets at you and stuff like that.
Well, of course he's tough. He's a Saiyan. Look at that armor.
Yeah, that's true. The irony of that. So then I love this. What is a ninja? So it's so cool how they show like little tips and basically, like, you know, mystical arts and then practical arts that they use here basically, and then like the weapons and whatnot. So it's really cool how they kind of break their own rendition of what a ninja is right down here. And let me tell you something. Late 80s, early 90s, being a ninja was the shit. I remember my brother and I were ninjas for Halloween once. We were doing the Ninja Gaiden thing. We had katanas and throwing stars, which is so cool. And then, of course, around that time, the infamous Three Ninjas series was coming about. Boy, that's a long lost treasure there. The first 2, like, forget the second 2, but Three Ninjas and Three Ninjas Kickback are still great. Kickback was my favorite because they go to Japan, and that was awesome.
Back in the 80s, like, the big trifecta was either superheroes and or mutated heroes, ninjas, or cyborgs.
Exactly. I was going to say, don't leave out Transformers, baby.
Oh, hell yeah.
So here
awesomeness is the right of all sentient beings.
There you go. So now we see that this is where the Jockio's hideout is, basically, and they show a really good dramatic cutscene of that there. Later on, we basically learn about the plot of what's going on with the statues and everything, and, poor Walter Smith there and whatnot. So, Act 4, you go through the Amazon rainforest, then you get basically to the lower levels of the castle. You fall into a trap, and you have to surrender the shadow statue, which sucks. Then you basically are going through Act 5, you're going through some abandoned mines, then you have to climb basically up these cliffs to get to this part here. And boy, Stage 5 is a fucking pain in the ass! Oh my god. It is tough, tough, tough. Then Act 6 gets even worse, and it's just, you go across a death bridge, which is all gold, then you get inside the upper levels of the temple. Really tough things you have to go through. And when you get to the boss, let me tell you something. If you die against any of the bosses at the end of Act 6, that's where you're starting over, just to warn you.
Oh, and every time I see that picture, the first thought that comes into my mind is Ninja Castlevania.
Ninja Castlevania.
You must honor the Belmont clan, my son. Go slay Dracula and his totally European castle.
What would have made the Castlevania games a bit better is if they did the cinematic sequences much like the earlier ones. Now, they eventually would do that in the later ones, but what would make it better is if they had basically story progression within it, much like Bloodstained did, Rondo of Blood, Symphony of the Night, things like that, Aria of Sorrow. Even if they had that earlier on, it would have pretty much been a much better plot experience. Not to take away, though, that the first 3 Castlevanias are bad games. They're fantastic games. They're hard as hell, too, much like Ninja Gaiden. But, that's something I think would have helped out the first 3 Castlevania games, but that's the way I looked at it. Now we get to Hudson's Adventure Island. This is a classic. I love the first 2 games of this. I especially love the second game because you could ride on dinosaurs, which was really cool. But this is what started it all, basically. Master Higgins was going to go save his girlfriend, and he was captured by that evil rhinoceros. So you go through, I think it's 7 or 8 parts of the island or something.
I think it was 8 stages.
8 stages, yeah. And then you'd basically, go to rescue him. So it's kind of like a platformer where basically you're keeping your stamina up by eating fruit and whatnot. And then you basically are kind of doing some jumping platforms at parts, fighting enemies, avoiding obstacles, things like that. So they'll kind of show stuff like that down here. You'd also get hatchets, fireballs, skateboard to ride on, and you'd find these in eggs. If you attacked certain areas of the map, it would basically do bonus stages like you would see right here, and you would just be collecting fruit and stuff, which not only replenishes your depleting health, but also basically gives you points as well. So, go ahead.
Looking at this, it really kind of hits home that this series inspired a lot of others. I mean, you can see elements of Bonk, Zonk, Sonic 2, and a whole bunch of other games.
Joe and Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this stuff later got incorporated in other games. I mean, heck, Master Higgins is pretty much Bonk and Zonk. Yeah,
pretty much the TurboGrafx 16 Legends, in case you're wondering. But yeah, I love these little tips and tricks of how he's talking. I love the way that he's drawn and whatnot, and just showing the map and everything. But this just shows the basic essentials of it, and then you see what some of the bosses look like. Really cool, like I said, really cool artwork that they have here. They kind of give you little previews of the next levels and everything, and some maps. So I think this is the Strider poster. Yeah, it's a Strider poster there. That's a pretty badass poster right there. I love that. Then you get to Strider, of course. So basically, and there it is. There's the little meter there that they're showing. So yeah, that you could do. They let you do your own in it, and then they do their own meter. So that's this is the first issue that was showing the meter and everything. So Strider was pretty nifty because it kind of had some elements and aspects of Ninja Gaiden in it, but it had its own touch, basically in terms of collecting health, energy, things of that nature. But yeah, this game basically gets. This started the legend of Strider Hyrule, basically right here was with this, and I really love how he came about as a great fighter in Marvel vs. Capcom, 1 and 2. He's a very good, very speedy and deadly character in that. But this is where he began, and this is a very popular arcade game too.
Oh yeah.
So they don't have much on it, but yeah, I mean basically it's just really nifty. You got anything to say? Were you a Strider fan?
Not really, but there is an interesting little thing about Strider. I'm not sure how many people know this, because God knows they had to add in Street Fighter V of all games, but the character they just recently added, Zaku, who's apparently a member of the Bushin clan, just like Guy, is apparently the forerunner to the Strider clan. Yeah, in the story, you'll notice he actually talks a lot about starting his own new brand of ninjutsu, and how he wants to take ninjutsu to a higher plane of it, to a higher ascended level, is basically alluding to the fact that he's going to be the first Strider. In fact, one of the color variants for Zaku is actually the traditional Strider Hiryu blue-red colors.
Huh.
So yeah, fun fact, you actually get to play as the progenitor in Street Fighter V.
I'll be damned. Guy had a really... I knew his fighting style looked familiar with it, basically. So yeah, he was my favorite character in Final Fight for sure. And in Street Fighter Alpha 3, they made him really, really pretty speedy in it. If he had a projectile, he'd be even better. Yeah, that blew my mind because he has a projectile as a super move in Final Fight 3 on the Super Nintendo. I don't know why they got rid of it for Alpha 2 and 3, you know what I mean? It's
well, what
weird.
I found interesting is if you look at some of the attack animations Guy does, especially in the Alpha series, you'll notice elements of Tanpu's fighting style, especially with the kicks. And I found that kind of interesting, like how his fighting style both resembles the Strider style, but also the more traditional kung fu style used by those two Chinese assassins, Tanpu and her sister.
Yes.
So it's kind of weird how it all just blends together,
Sometimes fighting styles would be inspired by other fighting styles. Karate Kid showed that if you want to go for fantasy. Cobra Triangle, I never played the game, but it kind of looks like a water-based isometric spy hunter to me. That's what it kind of looks like. Did you ever play that game?
Nah, I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah. And it's also similar to that RC Pro-Am racing game that people nutted over. But now here's the Adventures of Bayou Billy. This is a pretty good game, despite the fact that you can tell it's just clearly a Crocodile Dundee ripoff. It's still pretty cool. And then what's funny is this game made a featurette in the second episode of Captain N in season 1.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Where he was like, "This is the game I could never beat," which was the first game he could never beat.
I could never get through Bayou Land. Captain Ed struggles with Bayou Land. That mother brain voice. But anyway, I mean, yeah, we got to do a review on Captain Ed. It's it's one of those camp cartoons that really, when you're growing up in the Nintendo era, you've had major feels. And I'll tell you, before the lousy third season took place, the second season with the episode Germ Wars, boy, that really was just a tough episode for a lot of kids to watch. It was tough for me to watch, but it was great to just see how much every character cared about each other. So it was just really nice to see that there. But
you dare insult the beauty of that great third season.
Well, they lost the rights to a lot of things, so they had to basically take away a lot of things, like Simon Belmont's goggles, and then Kid Icarus's sandals and stuff like that. So they dumbed down the animation a lot. What was very the third season, I don't even think they have it on DVD. I've only seen the first and second lumped together. They say the complete series, it's there was a third season, but it didn't last long. They were only 15-minute segments too. But one thing that I did, 3 episodes that stood out to me in the third season was there was an episode where Lyle, who was Lana's geeky, little brother and everything.
I remember that.
He came back in that, basically, in that season, and it was great to see him again because I felt he kind of got a bum rap. It would have been interesting. I mean, he was horribly drawn, but I still felt that he was on the World of Tetris, and he was the gatekeeper of the key and everything. I would have felt it was great to see that he made a comeback, but I felt they shorthanded him because I wanted to see, maybe them come back. Link was done a hell of a lot better in the Captain N cartoon than he was in his own standalone series.
Oh, hell yeah.
Link was my favorite side character in that. But Simon Belmont, unfortunately, was done as an egotistical beauty queen. Mega Man just kept saying Mega at points, but Mega Man was still pretty, cool here or there. I just didn't like his voice too much. And then Kid Icarus was a little annoying and things. So, a lot of the characters were fairly annoying and things. They have their little quirks, but you didn't care. care growing up. You know, when you're it's like you're a fucking kid. You're watching, you know, this. You're watching a dream basically, like every kid's dream. You get to go through your favorite video games. You get a hot princess that supports you. You get to meet your favorite video game characters and fight alongside them. I mean, that's heaven. If you could execute it better today, you know, minus the SJW stuff, but imagine if you could execute it better today and actually get really good dialogue in it like Batman or Spider-Man had. Holy shit.
They need to do it, because there was one big cock block in that show, and I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about. I mean, we had Mother Brain, we had Metroid. Where's Samus?
The comics by Valiant put her in there, and she had a thing, and what was great was she had a thing for Kevin, which was great. So,
yeah.
Who was Captain N if you never saw the series, but that was great. Lana and Samus would fight over him. So we'll probably read. I may just live read some of the comics and everything like that, because I know that Pikachu was interested in that. So, but I mean, I tell you, we've got some great Nintendo stuff that'll be on the horizon and everything. But yeah, you can pause there and just, read over that, but that'll kind of show some minor things to the stages there. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. We'll wrap things up at the end there. But yeah, you could actually use the zapper on like the railgun shooting parts, or you could just use the game pads. Then this was a unique game because you had platforming, you had shooting, you had driving stages, things like that. So it was really unique to see. That's what made it such a unique game for its time. It was very strong for that. Then you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 here. And what I love about it on the front cover is that all their bandanas are red.
Yep.
I can't get over that really. But regardless of it though, this was a side-scrolling platformer too. It was unfair at a lot of points, and it was really difficult too. Just really odd jumping things that had to be done. On the DOS version, when you get to that sewer jump, no fucking way to get across it without a patch. Unbelievable. Like, it was like an impossible game to beat unless you had it patched up. And then but what's bad about it is it's like you've got a swimming level, which is on Area 2. You got this swimming level here, but then like when you're in the sewers that are going around in Area 3, you drown in them. And I sit there, I'm just like, you're a fucking turtle. You're telling me you can't swim? Give me a fucking break.
I trained you in the art of ninjutsu, my son. It's not how to swim.
But yeah, in Area 1, you're basically going to rescue, you're rescuing April O'Neil from Bebop and Rocksteady, the best April O'Neil, of course. In Area 2, you're basically saving a dam from being blown up by the Foot Clan. Then when you get to, they're done there. They only showed the first areas, but Area 3, you go through a large part in New York, and you're basically trying to get to the airport because Splinter was kidnapped. So you're trying to get to the airport. Then you get to the airport because you're trying to get the turtle blimp. Then you find the secret Shredder's Foot Clan compound. You take on the Technodrome. Then you get inside the Technodrome and you take on Shredder. And yeah, Shredder does have a beam that de-evolves you. So yeah, so you got to be careful there. But it's hella insane difficult in areas 5 and 6. It's like beyond insane. So now we go to the Counselor's Corner, which has some pretty cool tips. Bionic Commando, I never really played that game die hard or anything, but Simon's Quest, I love how they basically give you where are the daggers and everything, and then you basically find out about the graveyard. I'll give you I'll give you this golden knife to save your neck, stuff like that. And then of course you have the one that you get off of Death himself, or they call him the Grim Reaper, of course. Blaster Master, how did I defeat the last enemies in the 3rd and 4th stages? There's some tips that they have. If you drop a grenade on some of the bosses, what happens is if you pause it, if you do this select pause, it'll basically pause for and do it for 30 seconds. It does massive damage still with the grenade paused on the boss. It does massive damage, and then when you unpause it, it defeats them. So that was a little trick that I actually learned on my own, and then when I saw it Nintendo Power, I was like, no shit! That's awesome! But there you go. How do you find the magic key there? So there's what I was talking about earlier there, basically, is finding Kasuto Village. So when you get to the other side here and whatnot, you use the magic hammer to take out these trees and you'll find New Kasuto Village, and, it'll tell you how to do that. Then it tells you about Darunia, which is the church bell and everything like that. This is where you get the upstab attack and the downstab attack are from these soldiers that teach you how to do it, so it's pretty cool there. How do I get through the woods? I remember when I used to rent Mickey Mousecapade from Blockbuster a lot, I had a pain in the ass getting through it. Then I remember this. I'm like, oh yeah, you got to shoot your stars at the trees. And then voila.
I'll tell you something interesting about Blaster Master. Most people don't know this, but there were actually, I'm not sure if they were reboots or remasters, but both that one and I believe it was either Hydlide or that other one with like a tank and a kid, they both got like a redo on the PS1 ages ago. In fact, there were a lot of remasters that appeared on the PS1 nobody knows about.
Didn't Hydlide wasn't it like a 3D remake or something like that?
Kind of. It had like a 3D, but I think there were also like small 2D sections as well.
Okay. But yeah, Blaster Master 2 was done on the Genesis, and that didn't do so hot, so I don't blame them there. But Blaster Master 0, which was redone for the Switch, I actually have that. It's pretty good. They even have like a ninth stage in it, which I was like, whoa.
The funny thing is they actually have a Digimon game on the PS1 where they give you a highlight-like tank, and you can actually shoot the Digimon with certain items to make it easier to catch them.
I'll be damned. I didn't know that. So here's the four more hotshots here. So we got Rich Lind, Agent 357, Magnum 357, became game counselor in January of 1988. Hobbies include drag racing, video games, and computers. Highest game score, Mighty Bomb Jack, 27,953,250. Dang.
Nice.
Favorite NES game, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, right on. Tony Stanzik, Agent 257, became a counselor June 6th of 1988, D-Day anniversary. Nice. Hobbies include gaming, computers, special effects. That's pretty cool. Highest game score, Legend of Cage, 422 grand. Favorite NES game, Zanuck. Brian Ulrich, Agent 13, became game counselor in January of 88. Hobbies include writing, record, and comic book collecting. Basketball. All right. Highest game score, Castlevania, 614,280. Nice. Favorite NES game, Mega Man. Right on. Then we got Tim Dale, number 721, became a counselor May 1st of 88. Hobbies include swimming, weightlifting, sports, and dancing. Now there you go. That's a good gamer there. Highest game score is Galga, stage 76. That's impressive.
Damn.
And then favorite NES game, Castlevania 2. So not bad there to round that up. So
Stage 76, that's badass.
That is badass, no kidding, especially for that time. So here we go. This is one of my favorite Nestor comics here because he imagines that he's Link, basically. I really hate book reports. I should just go home. Suspense. What's it say there?
Let me see. Suspense. Oh wait, that's Shakespeare, Hemingway, Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss, yeah. Why don't they have anything good? Hey, this doesn't look too bad. Zelda Adventure of Link. Thump. Well, excuse me, people saw him dropping the book there too loud. Once upon a time, there was a hero named Link. He wandered through Hyrule seeking adventure and challenges, and then we got the little creature there, and he found both. Take that and that, you dirty scoundrel. So he's basically living out his fantasy, and the librarian's like pissed off and staring at him. And he's like, It's like these people just don't know how to have fun. So Nestor could not convince the rivermen to extend the bridge so he could go further than the town of Saria. Look, I'll give you my entire collection of Metroid tips. That's great. So then he's all walking around there, and he's like, guess I'll have to figure it out on my own. So he's walking through the woods, and it's like, and so our hero would continue his quest, knowing only that he had to look for the North Woods for help. North of Saria, he crossed a river. Then, something or other, sorry, it's just really hard to read. He wandered about the forest with no sense of direction. Yeah, there we go. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. So then a knight appears behind Nestor Link. Hey, Nestor, and it's Howard. What are you doing in this story? Me, what's he doing in my story? I bet you're looking for Bagu so you can cross the bridge in Saria. I've got good news for you. He's in the log cabin right in the middle of these woods. Here, I'll show you the way. But then he starts running away. Oh no, you don't. You're not going to run it or ruin it for me like you always do. So then all of a sudden he bumps into the back librarian and her round, curvy butt there. Okay, maybe I was just a little too wound up. So she grabs him by the ear. But my report, are you listening? My ear, are you doing this, ma'am? Hello? Are you Howard's sister? Or are you just having a nap too? Alright, so here's all the classified information here. So basically, Bionic Commando, Golgo 13. This will, tell you how to do your stage select here. Million Secret Castle, how to get started. So here's some tips for Adventure Island, which is really cool. Operation Wolf that we went over in the last issue. There's Spy Hunter, really fun game there. Wizards and Warriors, that's another classic game, so that'll kind of show you a way to bypass the wizard there. Then you got Double Dragon, so it's kind of telling you about like some glitches that are in the game basically there. Here we go. Iron Knuckle strategies. So this is what I was talking about earlier. This is really cool with the Iron Knuckle strategies that they come up with. Like the bridge one really helped me out in one stage, and I was so handy. But then when I learned about jumping and attacking at them and everything like that, that was really easy to come about there. Invisible Elevator, this is something where you need the white crystal, basically. So, like, the crystals in the game of Castlevania 2 would do things like, basically, make Lake shallower, get the tornado to go through the cliff, and then, of course, make platforms appear like that. So it's very essential sometimes, because you'll go into a mansion and you'll be like, what the fuck, how do I cross here? And that's like, white crystal! So then experience transfer. So this was a really nifty trick that my brother and I tried, basically. We created a low-level character, and then when you strike the crystal, you just basically go to the save point. Then you go to the new character, and then when you get onto the map and everything, the points rack up. So it's basically amazing how they kind of had that bug to transfer things over. But when you would start the game over, you would start at level 8 for all of your attack and bonus and whatnot regardless. But it was still good to do that like right away, just to see how everything works with it. So then so like if you have like go through like with a level 8 character and everything, you're going through the game again, you could just like create another level 8 character like right away by just transferring that experience over. But I kind of sit there because I'm like, well, if you've already beaten the game and everything, then I mean, what's the point of doing that when you can just basically play through it again with all the stats at 8 already, It's still nifty to see, though. So then, of course, they show those maps again with the shortcuts and everything like that you saw from the first issue, which I thought was pretty cool. And then they're discovering these things from the labyrinths here, where if you have some kind of enemy, you can avoid defeating some of the tougher monsters and everything. So it's pretty cool that they had like little side plots there. So now we're at the top 30 again.
Go back real quick.
Oh, sure.
Next page. One more back. Interesting, weird. Where's Spy Hunter? Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Fun, weird fact about Spy Hunter. There actually is a sequel to that on the PS2, and I believe it was made in conjunction with a rock movie that was also about Spy Hunter.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, and for those of you who don't know, Golgo 13 is actually a reference to Golgotha, the place where Jesus was crucified. It's also one of the longest-running mangas in all of human history.
Yep. The professional, Mr. M16 himself. But anyway, this was before the M4 came about as a standard carbine for the military. So the M16 was still in like heavy use, and they primarily started adapting the A2 version of it there. So we ultimately have. So here's our top 30 that we have. So we got Super Mario 2 at number 1, still reigning. This is still reigning supreme. So remember, this is before Mario 3 came out. Then we got Zelda 2, Adventure of Link, Legend of Zelda. So obviously we've got the big names here in the top 3. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out made another jump back in the top 5. Contra finally gets in the top 5. People have been listening to us because it's like this needs to at least be in the top 10, and there you go. Then you got Castlevania 2 at 6. I kind of feel that's a little too high because I liked the first Castlevania game a lot more, but whatever. Bionic Commando at 7's not too bad. Blades of Steel at 8. That was a pretty good hockey game. So that was probably the best hockey game on the Nintendo before the Super came out. Double Dragon at 9, Metroid at 10. So yeah, you've got some pretty good. I mean, this is probably the most solid top 10 that I've actually seen. From the other issues.
You got 50,000 points of Double Dragon.
Yeah, 50,000. You got 50,000 on Double Dragon. That's actually a movie we'll be reviewing. We'll be recording and reviewing on here, and so we're definitely going to do that. So in 11, you got Bases Loaded. 12, you got Blaster Master. 13, you've got Mega Man. 14, Castlevania. And again, these three could be top 10 worthy as well. 15's Top Gun, I don't know why. 16's RC Pro-Am. 17's Kid Icarus. 18's Rampage, not bad. 19's Mylan's Secret Castle. 20's Golgo 13. 21's Hudson's Adventure Island. 22's Mega Man 2. So they haven't reviewed Mega Man 2 yet, but it's making a big jump, so it's a new title. 23's Metal Gear, so that finally just got owned by these games, and rightfully so. 24's Paperboy, 25's 1943, which is a fun top-down shooter, 26 Ice Hockey, 27 Life Force, which is technically Gradius 2, 28 Wizards and Warriors, 29 Bubble Bobble, and then 30 Double Dribble.
There's actually an odd fact about Golgo 13, and I'm not sure if this is still on the internet given all the controversy with the guy who was in it, but that was one of the only games on the NES that got brought to America that had nudity in it. But you had to do a little something to get it to activate. There's actually a Drew Wario video where they tell you how to do it, but given certain events, I'm not sure it's still up. But just bear in mind, yeah, you could see PG-13 material in the 80s on your NES.
All right! So now we've got the players' picks. So we got basically Mike Tyson's Punch-Out as champ. Yeah, I mean, that was an addicting game. I remember when my brother and I's babysitter would bring that over, and we'd have a ball watching them try to get through it. They got Bases Loaded, Contra, Double Dragon, Castlevania, Legend of Zelda for the pros, Super Mario 2, Zelda 2. So you can tell the pros are more into the platformer stuff or RPG elements. And then dealers picks is Super Mario 2, Blades of Steel, Top Gun. So it's really interesting to just kind of see the differentiating between the three of them, between us, the Nintendo Power Pros, and then basically the people that deal with the video games. So
casuals,
So here's what I was talking about: the Powerpad Playoffs '89. It was a red and gold sweater. My mistake. I thought it was blue, but no biggie. So basically, it's hello folks, welcome to the Powerpad Playoffs. I'm Steve Sportsman. And live with me is Mike Motormouth. So, you got those crazy noses, and I just love the crazy artwork. And then look at this fucking beaut right here. Holy cow. So, and then oh my god, it's a ginger kid. He's got no soul. Yep. But I love how I look at that late '80s, early '90s hairstyle for the girls there.
I actually used to know a girl who had her hair like that.
And then these mop tops and everything like that. That was the style back then. Thanks, Steve. I'm here in Trevor's living room at the site of today's, games, and I think it's going to be a close one. The teams have been warming up, and they're about to show their stuff. So they're doing a lot of really cool stuff. So it kind of looks like Twister-esque sort of things, where you have to basically follow and do certain things. So you're going against one another. So it's cool that they did all of this, and Nintendo Power, covered it and whatnot. So it's really awesome to just see all of them, having fun. Now those gold and red shirts and socks are just so fucking loud, but whatever. It's the late '80s, early '90s. So our competitors must meet the world-class track meet where they run and jump over, or for going for the gold. Looks like the competitors are 100-meter dash, and then they'll are ready to take off. Let's see the action. So they show all the pictures. The teams finish with a tie in this game. Let's move on. So then basically it's aerobic exercise. So you get to basically do that. So this was, like I said, this was the start here. When the Wii came out, they were big on it. They had the Wii Fit trainer and everything, who's been looted more than I can count.
Yeah.
Really well sometimes too. But anyway, before I go off on that sexy tangent, so this is the innovation. This is where Nintendo's roots were for all of the cool innovations of motion controllers and screens and everything. Started with the Power Glove, the Power Pad, things of that nature. They wanted more interaction with their games. And there's nothing wrong with just being a PlayStation or an Xbox where you just have the control and you're playing through. It's all good. But you can see now where Nintendo's particular innovations came from. It was basically early on, and not many people know that.
You know what nobody ever brings up about that, though? A lot of kids lost a lot of weight because of those. Especially like when they came out with Dance Dance Revolution on the PS2. There were people who lost like upwards of 100 pounds doing DDR.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually damn good exercise. Mm-hmm. Dancing is stupidly good aerobic exercise, by the way.
So the Super Team games, so this is basically where it ends. So all three of them are on each side there, and basically doing their little, run and jump and whatnot. God, those socks are so freaking bright. So they're getting ready for the Super Team games. Good teamwork is essential here, as many events require each team member to work together towards a common goal. Well, Mike, looks like everyone had a lot of fun. Who won? It was great fun, Steve, and the Power Pros came out victorious. So we got the red team that did it. Everyone's a winner with the Power Pad and these terrific games. So yeah, we're all going to high-five each other. Let's just show the teamwork. The gold team's sitting there like, I can't believe we fucking lost to them. Especially that 80s haircut. This actually looks like the dude Rudy from Monster Squad. That looks like his haircut there.
Isn't it weird? A bunch of red shirts actually won.
Yeah, the red coats won. Yeah, no kidding.
Suck it, Kirk.
Yeah, and that too. There you go. Fun, fast-paced action and physical fitness. That's the new Power Pad, now sold separately at the World Class Track Meet. I love how this kid's all sitting in the chair, and he just kind of has that ugly bug to him where it's like, he kind of looks like he's autistic there or something like that. Oh my god, I'm going to ban you. Okay. So here's the video short. So finally the California Games has been reviewed, and with all the talk that they were doing up for it and everything, woo. But I mean, I get it, it's not something that you're always going to expect and whatnot there. But yeah, I played this back on the Commodore 64. I remember that, like I mentioned before. Taboo the Sixth Sense. I've heard so much about this game, but it's just so odd basically, that it's kind of like one of those fortune-telling / like tarot card sort of games.
It's kind of interesting. The NES had a lot of weird experimental games, and they would really keep doing that all the way up to like maybe the PS2, and now you don't really see them willing to branch out and try different things. That's why I like the handhelds nowadays, because all the weird, fun stuff is on the handhelds.
Do you remember The Immortal?
Oh, God, yes.
That is actually going to be reviewed in the Mega Man 3 issue as well. It's a very unique game. So, and you'll see what we're talking about. Nobunaga's Ambition. So this was where Dynasty Warriors essentially was beginning, in a sense. So this is kind of where this is also Romance Under the Three Kingdoms sort of style, which was also a heavy influence of the Dynasty Warriors series. Also another one, Destiny of an Emperor, which will also come about into play. Those are some lesser known NES titles that actually turn out to be really deep, detailed games.
The really neat thing about that one in particular is not only did it basically pave the way for modern day for the classic Fire Emblem, which gave us the new Fire Emblem, along with a lot of other games, but they were still making Nobunaga's Ambition all the way into the PS2.
Yep.
And honestly, fun fact, kids, Nobunaga was gay and had a 13-year-old lover who was in his cabinet. Mm-hmm. He also butchered an entire town and fortress full of Buddhist monk warriors. Yep. And declared himself the demon god of the sixth heaven. So
now you see why he's so ambitious.
If you're gonna aim big, have a big golden evil statue to put yourself in.
Desert Commander kind of reminds me of an early style Steel Panthers. Steel Panthers was one of my favorite strategy games. It dealt with World War II up to Modern Wars in the 2000s, basically. It was a turn-based strategy game. And Desert Commander, and what's cool about it is Kemco Sekai was the ones Seika made it. And they're also responsible for bringing out those classic adventure games like Shadowgate, Deja Vu, and Uninvited, which Deja Vu will come out in the Mega Man 3 issue as well.
You know what that game reminds me of? Reminds me of Advance Wars on the DS.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing.
That too. There you go. Mappy Land, I never played that, so I have no comment. Airwolf, I never played it. Looks cool, but no comment.
I played it. It was okay. It's not as good as a show, though.
Yeah. Forget about Predator, of course. Just totally forget about this game. This was a complete bust. I don't know why it would have gotten these high scores here. Flying Dragon was pretty cool because it kind of had a kung fu style gameplay to it. There'd be some other games later on that would capitalize on this, like Flying Warriors, for example.
Kind of reminds me of ER Kung Fu, the arcade.
Announcing a revolution in home video fun. Mommy Kong. So yeah, I'll let you guys pause to read that there. Funny, I don't see any resemblance. So it's the NES trivia test there. So basically, let's, I wonder if I could even zoom in on this here. Let's find out. Probably not. Yeah, oh wait, whoop. Oh, it doesn't like permanently zoom. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, it doesn't permanently bring it up there. When I let go of the scrolling, it's not even doing it. That sucks because I want to take that.
I can't let you do that, Dave.
Right. I mean, if you want to pause it and then like use your magnifying lens, go for it. So
we will not be held accountable for your loss of eyesight, by the way.
So here's I didn't lose it, but yeah. So here's Shailene McCall, the former Dallas star turned to Nintendo. I don't really know much about her or the show, but I just loved reading these celebrity profiles. Like, I loved reading about Jay Leno and how he basically would play the Nintendo before and after his show, which I thought was really cool there. So then they got these really cool games. It's like, out of sight page. Here's a couple of eye-bending picture puzzles to test your powers of observation. Be thorough and look carefully at the puzzles, but see how quickly you can solve them. Time yourself and race a friend. So basically, you'll see things like a difference between these. So clearly, you can just see like the P and the R, the upside-down cross.
Link has become a member of Team Rocket, and he's worshiping the devil.
Right. And I think like some of the branch, oh yeah, like this branch doesn't look the same as that branch there. And then I think there was like whiskers missing or something like that between these, and they have things like that. Then you're finding things like you could see like a pig there, and then like you're trying to find like little animals that are in the background, like there's a snake.
Oh, there's a Saber's pet lion from Fate Stay Night. Saber lion.
And then
give me 100 yen.
Mario. And Mario and Luigi look like total retards there, but whatever. Well, now it's time for the Nintendo Power 88 Awards. So basically, you got to cast your votes in and everything like that for the titles that would basically be showing up here. So, you just fill this out here. So, we're both 25 and older, and we're both male. See, Nintendo at least recognized it, even though for those from a different time, doesn't fucking matter. What 2 games would you like to see reviewed in a future issue of Nintendo Power? Oh, keep going on Adventure Island and Mega Man 2. What 3 games are you planning to purchase next? Well, after this issue, it's definitely going to be Zelda 2, Ninja Gaiden, and more than likely, what was the other one? Bayou Billy. So, what about you?
Oh, dude, it would have definitely been, ironically enough, Gravity Man on the NES. That was actually a really good action shooter platformer.
Well, I meant from like what you saw in the issue.
Oh, and this one. Oh, definitely Ninja Gaiden 2.
It's the first one, actually.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the second one, when that comes out, they devote a whole issue as a strategy guide, and they do the same thing with Mario 3 and Final Fantasy, ironically enough. And those are probably going to be quick issues, because we're just going to flip through. The cool thing about the Ninja Gaiden 2 issue is that they're going to show the cinematic displays drawn as comics, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I owned that issue, too, which was great. So here we go. Best graphics and sound. We've got Double Dragon, Simon's Quest, Metroid, Blaster Master, and Wizards and Warriors. I would definitely go with, for visuals, I'd definitely be going with Simon's Quest on that one. I love the soundtrack to that, and graphically it looked pretty good.
For me, I'd go with Metroid because I like the combination of both the graphics and the ambient sound. Like when you first touch down, the empty hallways when you're...
Oh, this is the first Metroid. This isn't Super Metroid.
No, I mean the first Metroid.
You don't touch down or anything like that.
Well, I mean, when you first come down that elevator and then you're walking around, you can hear like the footsteps as she's walking.
Oh, okay. So you're just talking about the
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Now I'm sorry because you were describing Super Metroid. I'm like, what? Okay. Best challenge. We do like Legend of Zelda, Hudson's Adventure Island, Solomon's Key, Bionic Commando, and Castlevania. I'm gonna go with Castlevania on that one because that game was really difficult.
Oh yeah. Clock Tower, anyone?
Right. Best theme fun: Mario 2, Zelda 2, Go-Go 13, Bionic Commando, Simon's Quest, and Blaster Master. I'm going to go with Blaster Master on that. As fun as Mario 2 is, I really loved how innovative Blaster Master was with the combinations of improving your tank, backtracking and things like that.
I'm going to kind of go with Bionic Commando. That was pretty fun back in the day if you knew what you were doing.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
The Xbox version would have been better. They just needed to fix the swinging controls so it was more accessible. But that had real potential, other than the arm wife thing.
Right. So, best play control: Mario 2, Metroid, Castlevania, Blades of Steel, Blaster Master. I'm going to go with Mario 2 on that one. I really loved the innovation with the 4 characters and how they moved in different senses, so you would have to adapt your play control style, so I'm going with that.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
And Princess Peach for the speed run.
There you go. So, best character: Link, Zelda 2, Mega Man, Samus, Metroid, Mario, Super Mario 2, Duke Togo, Go-Go 13, Simon Belmont, Simon's Quest, Commando Joe, Bionic Commando, Kyros from Wizards and Warriors, Jason from Blaster Master, Master Higgins, Hudson's Adventure Island. I'm going with Simon Belmont. I mean, I'm a Castlevania whore, so I'm going with Simon Belmont.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
What a terrible night to have a quest.
Best ending: Super Mario 2, Castlevania, Zelda 2, Blaster Master, Bionic Commando. I'm going to go with Zelda 2. I loved how basically you could, after you get the Triforce of Courage, just seeing the new Zelda there, just so thankful for Link, saving her, and then the kiss under the curtain. I like that. The Nintendo endings were really lame because there was only so much you could do with it. It's more about the journey as opposed to the ending and those sort of things. But yeah, I'm going to go with Zelda 2.
I'm going to troll the shit out of everyone and say Mario 2 because you got to pretend to be your favorite girlfriend and then you get to wake up and be yourself.
Dun, 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 dun,
well, Mario,
dun,
what
dun,
about
dun,
it? Dreaming that you were a girlfriend? Dreaming that you were your brother? What would Sigmund Freud say?
And then best player versus player. You got Blades of Steel, Bases Loaded, Pro Wrestling, Double Dribble, Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to go with Double Dribble because I always love pissing people off doing that corner shot that you could spam over and over.
I'm going to go with Pro Wrestling because if you really know what you're doing, man, can you beat the ever-loving shit out of some poor hapless noob.
Best overall: Zelda 2, First Zelda, Go-Go 13, Super Mario 2, Mega Man, Double Dragon, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Metroid, Blaster Master, Bionic Commando. It's tough. I'd go with Zelda. Metroid I would kind of pull for, but Metroid was still kind of in the works of becoming greatness, even though it's still a great game. I'm going to go with The Legend of Zelda. I think that's probably one of the, out of that list there, I think that's like one of the best games out of all of them.
Absolutely, man. Any game that would ever be so good as become Robin Williams' favorite to where he'd name his daughter after the princess.
There you
go with Zelda, baby.
There you go.
Because they're both pretty magical.
So, Mike Lee Edmonds wins the trip to Disneyland up in Washington. Lucky son of a bitch. Nice. So if you want to pause here, you can read all of those. I don't want to use the magnifying lens for this. And if you're wondering if I really have one, I do, but I'm not going to use it. So, here is the explanation of the rating system. So it wasn't this issue like I thought. So it explains basically how everything is rated. So if you want to pause at that point, it'll tell everything for you there. So they finally started doing this. Later on, it would go away from this meter and it would become kind of like a percentage that would be graded on a scale from 0 to 5, and there would be like decimal points between it. So I kind of liked that a lot better than these meters and things like that. Nintendo back issues are available, so there's the Badass Zelda and Simon's Quest issues, so we're like 5 issues in and there we go. They're still pimping out the tips and tactics books there. So here's the Power Players Spotlights. Boy, look at the mug on that kid. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Ryan Michaels.
Mommy loved those sweet little kisses from Captain Jack Morgan.
Now, what would be funny is when we go along, if we find people we know, I'll be like, holy shit, I know that guy, but I don't think there ever was one where I actually know somebody. So here's some more top scores here for you. It's still cool that they're pushing out Castlevania And then Zelda 2 Adventure of Link, so it's like finished. That since there's no point system, it's like, yeah, finished. They should do like finished 100% or something of that nature, but whatever. Then there's some pimp scores here. There's a guy from Phoenix, Arizona that had beaten Zelda 2 there. Let's see, is there any... I'm going to take a look here. Is there any Tucson love? There's Tempe. Let's see if there's any Tucson love. I don't think I've seen...
Oh, there's one. Tempe, Arizona, Jack Pemberton.
I just said there's Tempe.
Oh, sorry.
I'm looking for Tucson, dude. Not Tempe. But I was always looking for somebody from Pueblo, Colorado, because I used to live in Pueblo, but, you know, they were more interested in having sex and drinking and getting pregnant, so...
Yeah.
Because Pueblo used to be like the pregnancy capital of the world, basically, so...
Oh, dude, all those guys got over 700,000 points on Arkanoid. Nice!
There's somebody from Seattle, Washington, where Frazier was living.
Yeah, tossed salad and scrambled eggs.
Yep. So, Packwatch, Adventures in Disneyland from Capcom. Capcom is continuing their association with Disney. They produced Mickey Mousecapade by developing 3 game packs based on Disney themes. DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, and Adventures in Disneyland. DuckTales is an awesome... Not only is that an awesome cartoon, it is an awesome video game. I think that's the best Disney, like, Nintendo game ever made, honestly.
Oh, hands down. And the remaster they did on the 360 and PS3 was great,
Oh,
too.
yeah. And it's on Steam, too. I actually have that. I'm going to probably do a playthrough of that. And they have the original voice actors in that, especially before Alan Ladd sadly passed away. Scrooge McDuck's voice. Rest in peace, my friend. Star Trek V. Well, we finally managed to nail down who is first producing the game pack based on the Star Trek. Bandai has announced their enterprising intentions so far, but all we have is a brochure. But yeah, Star Trek, it's okay though. Star Trek V sucks. Street Cop, we're going to use the power pad and walk along. Yeah. Athletic World, so you got some more cool stuff going with that. Chess Master, so that's cool because, you know, chess programs were primarily computer based, so now we got a console version. Batman, that game is sick, and that has one of my favorite Nintendo songs, Streets of Desolation. Can't wait for that.
I'll tell you what has one of the most oddly satisfying chess games of all time built into it. You're not going to believe this. Mortal Kombat Armageddon on the PS2 has one of the most hilarious chess games of all time, and it's even got a Mortal Kombat kart racer.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, so if you want to play like Mario Kart with Mortal Kombat characters,
Doesn't Deception have kind of like a column style game from the Genesis or something like that?
It's got something like that. Like
all mix and match.
All the PS2 ones had little fun mini games that sometimes were actually better than the game you got.
Bad Dudes is just an is just a lame kind of Double Dragon clone. Super Dodgeball from the makers of River City Ransom. That's a great game there.
Yeah.
Guerrilla War is basically the Ikari Warrior / Iron Tank that you wanted. And then Thundercade, I never played that. But yeah, those are some pretty good arcade alley games coming.
Super Dodgeball actually got brought into the Neo Geo as, I think it was like Super Neo Dodgeball. And it actually had the main character from River City Ransom in it.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, not Ricky Okuno. I forget the names of the guys from like the original River City. I forget, there was like 2 of them, but both of them were in it, and they had like whole teams based on all the different schools. And Bad Dudes, at the end, Ronald Reagan shows up and says, "Hey, great job. Want to hang out and have a cheeseburger with me?"
Oh, yeah. It's like on Cruising USA on the arcade where, like, Hillary was in a bikini and then, like, Clinton's all in the hot tub, like, yeah, Cruising USA. It's just like, yeah, like, he'd be in the same hot tub with Hillary. Give me a break. So you got Wheel of Fortune Jr. I mean, let me tell you something. These games, the computer fucking cheats, like, hardcore.
Yep.
Stay away from them. But we may play Wheel of Fortune as a joke, as kind of a joke tactic, but whatever. So Pinbot, Rollerball, and Super Sushi Pinball. I love pinball games, so it's great that they're bringing those there. Dragon Warrior, which is Dragon Quest. So basically we're going to get our first sample of just an incredible series. The first 4 games were brought to the Nintendo, and let me tell you something, just classics all around. Even though it was under the wrong title, these games were just amazing. So in the NES Journal of our first issue, Nintendo Power, we told you about Dragon Quest III. Well, Nintendo's Dragon Warriors, the American version of the original game, which inspired it, and the sequel, Dragon Quest II, the Japanese version, which is the first role-playing video game to become a mega hit. ETA is still ways off, so when we got exposed to that back then, like I used to rent that game a lot, and then we eventually got a copy that had the instruction manual that was like a built-in strategy guide. It was amazing.
The thing about Dragon Quest series is the main artist for it is Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball.
I've got the slime little plush that's in my man cave area, and then Monster Party. I don't think Monster Party actually ever came to America. I don't think it did.
I'm not sure if it did or not. I think it did, but it might have been under a different title.
So here's the gossip. We got a Godzilla game coming, which was lackluster. Goal for soccer. Then we got Vegas Dream. Then we got Adventure of Lolo, which, is like a cult hit. Fisher-Price stuff. Kung Fu Hero. California Raisins. Those blues singing raisins. That was totally the... the thing back then was like, the Claymation Christmas and everything with the California Raisins. Oh, yeah. I'll never forget that. The Leia games, NFL football, Knight Rider, Hoops Magic Johnson, Fast Break, Jordan versus Bird. Oh man, those one-on-ones with those classic basketball players, those were big. And then you'd have games like Bulls versus Blazers, Bulls versus Pistons, things like that. It's just like, these are the only teams you're playing with. The Guardian Legend, the Legacy of the Wizard, but I mean the Bulls dominated basically in the 80s and 90s. So John Elway's quarterback, well that's fine. We don't give a fuck about that.
Well, I mean, hey man, they had Pippen, Jordan. I mean, what else do you need? And plus they had the best coach of all time.
Oh so. Yeah, hands down there. So basically, Phil Jackson also, when he went to the Lakers, Kobe and Shaq hated each other. They're at each other's throats, and he got them to play together. So yeah, he's a legend there. So you got some planners here. I can't see them too well, so you can pause and whatnot. Keep in mind, I'm looking at this at a distance on an HD TV. That's 46 inches, but still not enough, sadly. Coming up next in the May-June issue of Nintendo Power, more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, more Ninja Gaiden, and Mega Man 2. So we're going to take a look at another classic game there, so we're going to look forward to that. How to join the pros at Nintendo headquarters. So this is basically, they'll tell you, like, make you an honorary member and you get your pin and all that good stuff there. This number actually still works. It still links you to, Nintendo and everything like that, but it gives you like a message. We tried that, Pikachu and I. And then, of course, you got your Castlevania 2, Metroid, and there's Zelda and whatnot. So, pretty fun issue there. This is the first copy that we owned, and then we're looking forward to some other classic games in the future there. So, going forward, like Nintendo-related stuff, we're definitely going to watch the Wizard. We may something before we go. We weren't Pikachu is still up in Phoenix at this time with the Maestro, so things actually didn't work out the way we planned and whatnot. But it is what it is, and that she's doing fine. Everything's okay there. Work's been fine too, just really busy. But I'm just grateful for these days off. I'll tell you that. Also, what we have is I'm thinking that more than likely we're going to review The Wizard, and who knows, we may even actually have that done this weekend. I'm kind of like, I wouldn't be in the mood, I'm kind of in the mood. I wouldn't mind watching that movie and then just kind of like breaking it down and everything like that. And then this will be a true test to see if posting, copyrighted material with our own, basically with our own saying it gets banned or not. So we'll see what happens, but we're such an under the radar thing. Like if we get a huge influx where it's like, oh man, this guy became popular all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, so we're not going to do like a Susie Lou reactionary video where she's on the screen like, oh, we're going to pause and talk about it and shit like that. So we're going to add our own insights into it, and basically, I think one thing we'll probably have to do is when they do the "Send Me an Angel" song, more than likely, I think we'll probably mute it at that point. Because I don't want to get hit with anything or whatnot. But we'll mute it, and we'll kind of talk about the scenes and everything like that. Because I followed their route, and I'll tell you, it's really interesting how they're trying to get to California on the route and everything like that. It makes sense at the same time, considering where they're at in Utah. But rather than go south through Las Vegas, like to St. George, because they were talking about going to St. George, which is at the northwest Arizona, southwest Utah border, instead of going to that area, they're in Goblin Valley, which if you go further south, St. George will be there, and they're in the Goblin Valley area, and I've been there before. But no, instead, they head north to like the Salt Lake City area, and then take like I-80 practically. If you kind of think about it, they take I-80 over to Reno, and it kind of makes me wonder, is Haley from Reno because they couldn't afford to do scenes in Vegas and they decided to do it in Reno instead? So that's kind of what I'm wondering there. Like, I always had that question, because then to get to Los Angeles, you would basically have to swing over into California, head towards San Francisco, and then head south like on I-5, or take the Pacific Coast Highway to get to LA. And that just seems like too much of a hassle, It's just really awkward, the path they choose. Because if you go to Vegas, you can take I-15 south, which, like when I-70 ends in the Goblin Valley area, you can take I-15 south to St. George. You go through the Virgin River Valley in the northwest corner of Arizona. Yeah, I-15 cuts through a bit of Arizona. Then you get to Nevada, you go through Vegas, you hit the Barstow, and then you just take I-40 west and boom, L.A.
Well, I think actually there's a more practical reason why she did it, and it kind of makes a little sense if you think about it.
Not I-40, I-10, I'm sorry, but go ahead.
But if they would have gone through Vegas, she probably figured this kid was either a runaway or a weird kid, and that there'd be people looking for him, and she probably figured if they cut through Vegas, that would be the first place people would look, because that's the heavily trafficked area. There's more, it's a bigger town, there would probably be more people actively looking in that area. Cutting through Reno would be a little bit safer because it'd be more out of the way, and it'd be a less ideal way to go. It would be less likely.
I could potentially see that, but I'm talking about more so in the perspective of, Vegas is a large city to get lost in. That's the other thing, though. So that what you're saying does make sense, though. I can see that. I just also kind of look at it from a budgeting standpoint. It's like, were they not able to afford, because of budget constraints, were they not able to afford getting like Vegas shots or something like that? That's what kind of threw me for a loop. Or were they trying to get Reno more on the map because it's less known? I'm just kind of looking from that angle. But that's a really good. But regardless, that's still a possibility, and I never thought of it that way. So that's another possibility.
Plus, in the movie, she does mention that her dad was a grifter and he was friends with all the truckers, and the truckers would probably want to not go through like a heavily populated area to avoid like a.
Not true. Vegas and Phoenix, the only two cities not connected by an interstate right now until I-11 gets built, is a large truck route. So it's a very big truck route. I-15 is a big one too, because LA to Vegas is another big truck route, and then Vegas up to like Salt Lake City is a big one. So I don't really think it would be that one there. But what you said before, though, in between of like what's a smaller city and unknown, getting more out of the way, I could roll with that. But Vegas has huge truck routes, my friend.
Oh, I know that. Also, there is one thing you did mention, like the not being able to afford it. I don't think maybe like Vegas in general, but probably the licensing fees, because there were like lots of billboards and advertisements. I have to imagine, they would have had to pay out the shekels for some of those.
And that's what I was talking about, was affordability and budget. So yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you were kind of seeing on that end there.
But that is a good movie, man.
It is. It's a great camp movie. You got Kevin Arnold from Wonder Years in it. Fred Savage.
And the funny thing is, one of the locations in that movie is in Fallout New Vegas. Yeah, that little trailer park with a giant dinosaur. First stop on your trip back to Vegas.
There you go. Also, Christian Slater, young Christian Slater, was in that movie as the older brother in that. But, I think we may consider watching it tonight and just kind of doing a recording, so we'll think about it, But yeah, for now, it's time to get the AC on because it's boiling in here. We're in low 100s right now in Arizona, but it beats being in the cold, I'll say that. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. It was good to go over the first issue I got, and it was a good one too. But yeah, well, hopefully we'll see if we do the Wizard, so be on the lookout for the Wizard review there. We'll be adding a new tab in the page that basically says movie reviews, and we'll add it in there. But for now, hey, this is Gray Fox 37.
Tell me, Fox, do you like movies about gladiators? This is Base 76.
Do you like Phil Collins? And here's something cool about our numbers. I'm 37 now, so 37 takes precedence now, and then Ardeth was born in 76, so now our numbers are basically aligning to our names for once, which is cool. But anyway, it was great that we could review this together, and see you next time.